Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to get the show started very shortly. To everybody watching on Facebook or even on YouTube, consider sharing the concert on Facebook. It is a small way to show appreciation and the best way to grow our little community. A reminder that as always, Don's live stream is free to all, but if you'd like to make a donation, there is information in all of the various chats to do so. Thank you for your patience. We will see you shortly.
Hello everyone, hey, hi, nice to see you. Hi Sarah, hi Kara. Kara, how do you say your first name? Am I saying it wrong, or is it Kara or Kara? Unmute yourself.
You're saying it fine, Kara.
Kara, Welcome. Um, so here, glad to be here. Do you like my flowers? Look at that. I'm gonna get this place looking perfect. Just right around the time when it's obsolete and nobody wants to come to it anymore. um, so I was unable to get a spoken word artist today. So what I thought I would do is put it out to my little army of regulars here. If any of you have a poem or a piece of writing that means something to you that you always loved, if you want, you can read it for us at the 8 o'clock hour. Just put in the chat, and it doesn't have to be your thing. You don't have to be a poet, but if you want to do that, we can do that. Otherwise, we'll just proceed accordingly. So thanks and welcome. So glad you're here. Let's play a few songs here. I know a wife and a husband. They had a shiny little kid. When that kid turned 16, you won't believe what he did. Smoked a lot of marijuana. He did some other things too. Told the parents he was gonna drop out of school. The father pounded on the table. The mother hollered and she screamed. They run him down to the doctor. Doctor, what does this mean? He put them all on Prozac, right then, right there. He said, you'll still have your problems, but now you just won't care. And he prescribed a little therapy, some supplementary drugs, but he didn't write a script out for a little more love, just a little more love. What the heck could it hurt? It might not fix nothing, at least it won't make things worse. When you're looking at your lifetime from the end, when you are done, you know it might look a little better. See a little more love. I know a wife and a husband, and they had a shiny little kid. When that kid turned 16, you won't believe what she did. She said, Mom, I'm sleeping over Susan's. That was just a big lie, 'cause what you really was doing was staying out all night. When her parents found out, they cried boo-hoo-hoo. And then they called the radio talk show. They asked him, what should we do? He said, send her off to boot camp. That was his advice. It was good for his ratings, but it wasn't very nice. Just a little more love. What the heck could it hurt? It might not fix nothing, at least it won't make things worse. When you're looking at your lifetime from the end, when you are done, you know it might look a little better. See a little more love. I can see that you're a tough guy. You won't be pushed around. You're not gonna take it. You're good at putting your foot down. You might get killed by lightning. You might get hit by a truck. But if you are not that lucky, you might just wind up spending years in a rest home without a whole lot to do. But look back on what you did with the time God gave you. Just a little more love. What the heck could it hurt? It might not fix nothing, at least it won't make things worse. When you're looking at your lifetime from the end, when you are done, you know it might look a little better. Big, rough, tough guy to see a little more love. It might look a little better. See a little more love.
Done.
Thank you.
Whoa. Hi Sarah, how are you, dear?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you. Hello, Kentucky. Hello, everybody. So Tim Mason, Santa Fe, just popping in here. Here, I have to tell you. So now that COVID is ending, there's lots of things I'm happy about. but there's lots of things I feel like I should be sending COVID a thank you card for. And one of them is that I haven't had to listen to any club owners tell me not enough people coming to my shows for 16 months. That's been nice. I haven't had to be on airplanes at all. And I mean, there was a couple of years ago with Christine Lavin when I was touring with her. I think we were on 40 airplanes that year. I mean, it was, I don't want to complain about it. It's a good life, but I haven't missed it, is what I'm saying. But I have to tell you, Moira from Michigan, who's here, and from Detroit, and that I just picked up my first going to take an airplane gig at the Greenwood Coffee House in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
I love that venue.
It's going to be December 3rd. December
See
3rd.
that?
December 3rd. It's a Friday. Man, I'm so excited about it. That was my home away from home, that place, the Greenwood Coffee House. And they just got the okay today to open up. So, Michigan, here I come, back to normal. And I think I want to try to teach myself how to not take it for granted, not complain about it, to try to look at what's good about it. It's a very privileged life, and so here, this is for you, Moira, and for all my friends in that lovely part of the world. I went to California when I was young, stood beside the highway waving my thumb. I met a lot of maniacs, met a lot of bums, they were all really kind to me. Life is not like TV. People in Michigan say hello to people on the street that they don't even know. The drivers in Boston make a left-hand turn without turning their signal on. In 1993, if you were talking to yourself walking down the street, it was sad cause it meant that you were crazy. Now it means that you're a businessman. It's not crazy but still kinda sad. I went to California when I was young. I stood beside the highway waving my thumb. Met a lot of maniacs, met a lot of bums, they were all really kind to me. Life is not like TV. My boss is younger than my children are. I've got to tell you, people, that's so bizarre. He's so adorable when he yells at me. It makes me want to pinch him on his cheek and say coochie coochie coo coochie. I went to California when I was young, stood beside the highway waving my thumb. Met a lot of maniacs, met a lot of bums, they were all really kind to me. Life is not like TV. A lot of good musicians used to say to me, you can't play guitar, you can't sing, so you can never make it in this here scene, and I don't think that they were wrong. But I wonder where they all have gone. I went to California when I was young, I stood beside the highway waving my thumb. Met a lot of maniacs, met a lot of bums, they were all really kind to me. Life is not like TV. People in Michigan say hello to people on the street that they don't even know. Drivers in Boston make a left-hand turn without turning their signal on. They're not thinking about you at all. They just keep on rolling, keep on rolling, they keep on rolling along. Here you go, Michigan.
Yay!
I'm coming for you. December 3rd. I've been performing in Michigan in the Greenwood Coffee House for the first week in December and the first week in May since 1999. That last year was the first year that I didn't go. So
That was the first place I ever saw you, Don.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Well, and I think I'll try to make a weekend out of it. I'll try to get up to the UP or something, So I'm looking in the chat. So Amy, are you gonna be our poet for today? Unmute yourself. Go ahead. Let me talk to you.
Okay. Yeah. I
I think we should. If I couldn't recruit anybody today, But I think that everybody has something that they like, or most people. And if you have something that means something to you that you like, and you want to read it right around 8 o'clock, and then maybe you can just tell us why this one stands out from others. I think that would be nice. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I actually am a poet, so that works out well.
Well, so maybe we'll get an original from you then. You should have told me that. Well, how about, we'll recruit you for down the road then. All right.
Okay, sure.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the late announcement. Our spoken word segment today will be, filled by Amy from Kentucky. Her daughter will be very proud. There she is, right there, right there.
Yeah, she actually told me, I can't believe you're going to do that, Mom.
Well, Celia, maybe you can read a poem for us someday too. During COVID, when I couldn't see my grandchildren, as heartbreaking as that was, we had every week we had a family poetry reading. We had, and the kids would read poems, funny poems, Shel Silverstein poems. Their mother is a librarian; she would read stuff. So it was fun, and the kids actually came up with really good stuff. I thought so. All right, there we go. All right, it's all good. All right, so we'll see you 5 minutes to 8. I knew this would work out. All right. Marcia, is there something I can play for you, dear? Anything you want to hear?
Didn't have anything in mind.
What is it?
I didn't have anything in mind tonight.
All right, then I'll do whatever I want. How's that sound?
Great.
This is one that I would have been playing back when I first met you, Marcia. All the days of her youth were spent in housing subsidized by the government. By the time that her neighbors were 12 years old, they knew how to steal automobiles and play that rock and roll. Shoot-up, shoot-a-wah-de project girl. Shoot-up, shoot-a-wah-de you-do-wah-do-wah. Shoot-up, shoot-a-wah-de project girl. Shoot-up, shoot-a-wah-de you-do-wah-do-wah. I was raised on the other side with a white picket fences and a brand new bike. When the sun was hot and the days were long, my dad turned on the sprinkler to save the lawn. But now I'm grown, I work all day. When I come home, I moan, I groan and complain. But my project girl puts me in my place, calls me a middle-class spoiled brat right to my face. Shoo-wah-de-wah-de project girl. Shoot-up, shoo-wah-de-wah-de you-do-wah-do-wah. Shoot-up, shoo-wah-de-wah-de project girl. Shoot-up, shoo-wah-de-wah-de you-do-wah-do-wah. Now by the time that she married me, she was already adept at austerity, and she can keep us going on my diddly pay. She can cook a potato 119 ways. Shoo-wah-de-wah-de project girl. Shoot-up, shoo-wah-de-wah-de you-do-wah-do-wah. Shoot-up, shoo-wah-de-wah-de project girl. Shoot-up, shoot-up. I love my project girl. Project girl. I love my project girl. If my young daughter hates what we eat, she's liable to pick it up and throw it at me. Well, the projects have never been her home, but her mother gave her project chromosomes, so it don't matter where she may live, she will always be a second generation project kid. She wah-de-wah-de project girl. She wah-de-wah-de you-do-wah-do-wah. Wah-de-wah-de project girl. She wah-de, I love my project girl. These classy women in their fancy clothes, they're very impressive, I suppose, but I wouldn't trade my project girl for every Maserati mama in this whole wide world. I love my project girl. Wow.
Woo!
Wayback Machine. Wow. That is the deepest of the deep tracks, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Here, going way back all the way to there. I'm going to play this one too. I wrote this song when I was 20 and wondering if I'd ever get to make an album. Would I ever get to make an album? I have 10 albums, nobody wants them, but I have them, right? Here we go. It's so funny to sing a song this old. It's called Two Gray Hairs in My Mustache. If I had a mustache now, there'd be 2 black hairs in it, probably. Here we go. I don't know what it was about this morning. I wrote this when I lived in Maine. I had a job in a diner, right? Dave's Diner was called. Dave Moody was the guy's name, and he was the brother or the son of the famous Moody from Moody's Diner in Waldoboro, Maine. And Moody's Diner, in case you don't know, is world famous for ripping things out of the ocean and dropping them in boiling fat and frying them and handing them to people on Route 1 up there, right? That's their big claim to fame. And I worked for the brother in Rockland, Maine. I used to go in at the closing time, and I would be like to clean the floors, and I was like, it was cheaper to pay me, I don't know, $2.50 an hour than it was to buy an alarm system. Like I was like security said it was cheaper to have me just to have a warm body in there to keep people from robbing the place. And then in the morning I would cook breakfast too. Like he was getting all that from me. And when I would come in, the waitresses would be counting their money, and they knew that I had moved to Maine to become famous. One of my brilliant moves. And they would say, "Well, how's the career going?" I say, "Well, I worked last night up in Horse's Ass, Maine. It was a 9-hour drive, and I made $7 or something like that." And and they just look at me just so just with pity, But here we go. I don't know what it was about this morning that had me wondering where my dreams had gone. I think I'd feel better if I could write them a letter and ask them where they've been so long. I'm afraid to think I've just accepted my position in society, to be hoping that when the big ship comes in, a little bit'll trickle down to me, little bit'll trickle down to me. 2 gray hairs in my mustache, singing this song to me. We sure hate to be the ones to be bringing you this rude awakening. But if you don't get down to doing all the things that are on your mind, the next thing that you know, you'd be 80 years old, you'd be wishing that you had more time. When my co-workers at the diner ask me about my music career, I say it's going all right. I worked last night, I made $10 free and clear. I even got half price off on beer. Then I say all I need now is enough money to make an album of the songs I write. And then I keep sweeping floors and I keep getting poorer. When I'm alone at night, I can hardly express the fright that I feel when I think I might be pushing this broom for the rest of my life. 2 gray hairs in my mustache keep singing this song to me. We sure hate to be the ones to be bringing you this rude awakening. But if you don't get down to doing all of the things that are on your mind, the next thing that you know, you'd be 80 years old, you'd be wishing that you had more time. I had a nightmare last evening. It blew me right out of my bed. An orderly man came in to empty my pan. I looked up at him and I said, well, all I need now is enough money to make an album of the songs I write. I would send it around to the boys downtown to be a superstar overnight. He said, sure, Mr. White. Does your catheter feel too tight? Doesn't your cream of wheat taste right? I see you hardly touch a single bite. 2 gray hairs in my mustache singing this song to me. We sure hate to be the ones to be bringing you this rude awakening. But if you don't get down to doing all of the things that are on your mind, the next thing that you know, you'll be living at the home, you'll be wishing that you had more time. You say, oh, I need a little more time. I got this album on my mind. I'd like to do it on down the line. Tell the Grim Reaper I feel fine. Give me a little more time.
Woo!
I don't even recognize the person that wrote that song is so far gone now. Like it's so weird to write a song that was written by a person that you're not anymore. Like it's just when I think back on it, when I first dug that thing on and started playing it again, what I thought about was even early on, I took things that were really bothering me, like it was bugging me that I wasn't I wasn't gonna get to do my dream, and then I had a self-deprecating sense of humor about it. like that was I had that skill early in the game. All right, all right. So, so now it's if you don't mind, I'll read you a little something that from my upcoming book. Is that okay, everybody? You all right with that? You getting sick of it?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
That would be
Yes,
nice.
please.
All right. I'm really writing a lot. I'm in New Hampshire 2 days a week and just writing until I can't write anymore. And so I'm getting a lot done. So you're only seeing like one out of every 6 or 7 chapters that I'm writing. And I'm trying to pick ones to read to you that some things are don't read well, so we'll see whether this one does or not. So let me set this up for you. So we decided we were going to hitchhike to Alaska, right? From Tucson, Arizona. Why? Because why not, right? Why not? We saw that we did some preparations, and the preparations that we made where we looked on a map and saw that there was a road that went there, so that was enough preparation. So we launched out of San Francisco, where our friends from Lynn lived, and so we would go there and just we were both 18 years old. We would just party to death almost there. And like I was talking to somebody who lived in California in the 70s, and they were like, we were drinking Matus and being flower children. I'm like, we were all from Lynn. We had no money. We were drinking Thunderbird and Mad Dog, and like all this like stuff that's where this starts here. 18 years old. Here, let me look down so I don't glare you to death here. 18 years old, as free can be, hanging with our friends in America's coolest city. The partying was epic. So much so, and I know this is hard to believe, but after a week, Teresa and I locked bloodshot eyes with each other and said, we have got to get away from here. How much Thunderbird wine can our metabolisms possibly withstand? Now, this part's in parentheses. It says, side note and home improvement tip. The Thunderbird wine of this era cost $2 a gallon. One night we spilled a full glass from the kitchen table. Within minutes, the square tiles on the floor started to buckle and come loose. I'm not sure if the classic wine or Thunderbird is still available, but if so, just so you know, it's an inexpensive and effective flooring adhesive remover as well. In the 8 years between the summer of love and our arrival, San Francisco had experienced a significant exodus of peace and love. It was still a great place, especially the music scene, but the corner of Haight and Ashbury, while not exactly barbiturate-laden, was, shall we say, trending in that direction. So off we went in the gradual and at times circuitous direction of Alaska. The plan was to begin by going places where walking down the street with your home on your back wouldn't cause the locals to bring their children indoors and call the authorities. Our first stop was Big Sur. So we're heading north to Alaska, but we decided to go south to Big Sur, where we intended to camp on the beach. In 1975, it would have been pretty near impossible to find a larger concentration of people dedicating their lives to what would later be called New Age pursuits than the cast of characters that had invaded this coastal California community. The Esalen Institute was and still is located near some hot springs in Big Sur. It's a non-profit American retreat center and intentional community which focuses on humanistic alternative education. What does that mean? Nobody knows. But what it meant to me at the time was that from there, some deep-thinking hippies in Hot Springs were sending out cosmic vibes to every like-minded seeker on Earth. If you are interested in personal growth, meditation, massage, yoga, psychology, ecology, spirituality, organic food, Eastern religions, alternative medicine and or the exploration of human consciousness, you'd best be gassing up the Volkswagen van and following their beacon of positive energy, which not everyone can see, to this California epicenter of grooviness. I believe that in the fine print of that cosmic beacon, it says that in addition to your sleeping bag and your determination to accelerate your personal evolution, you should also bring your checkbook. The road had been patiently waiting for us to untether from the familiarity of what we had known so it could begin to introduce us to people who were on a spiritual journey. In retrospect, it would have been nice if our first introduction to this new world had been a bit more incremental. Departing a world where it was normal to drink adhesive remover, intentionally mislabeled as wine, to be deposited directly into an Essalon world so polar opposite that it emasculated the strength of the term polar opposite was, shall we say, abrupt. It seemed like the plan was to show us the end at the beginning and then see how close we could come to it via all the experiences the road intended to subject us to now that we were embracing it by relinquishing our San Francisco safety net. We didn't know it, but we were taking our first steps on the well-worn route of personal discovery blazed by countless flower children who came before us. That month, we meandered up and down the coasts of California and Oregon, which were saturated, infested, inundated, and hopelessly overrun with what in those days affectionately were called freaks. It seemed like every man who gave us a ride had long hair. Every woman wore Birkenstocks. Everyone used to live in the city. Everyone had toured with the Grateful Dead. And everyone had a book to give us that will change your life. And we read them all. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, Be Here Now, Baha'i Prayers, On the Road, The Dharma Bums. All required reading for mid-70s seekers, each page of each book. And all these encounters inching us away from what we had known and towards something we didn't know but thought might prove interesting. During those traveling years, our young and impressionable brains were forming an understanding of a world where yes was the answer to the question, adventure was its own reward, trusting that things would work out was our only way to view a situation, and that almost everyone was a potential good Samaritan. I estimate that during the first year we traveled between 20 and 30,000 miles entirely on the wings of kindness. Ta-da!
Love it.
Love it. Good job. Thank you.
Don? Gallo has since discontinued production of Old Thunderbird.
They're now calling it Old Tile Adhesive Remover.
Perhaps more accurately named.
And Essalon is still charging a lot of money to go there and be naked and get a massage on the beach.
I'll do that for half the price right here for you. At Lynn Beach, nobody will even notice.
I know.
I refrained from writing these stories because I didn't want to just tell, like, we met this weird person here, met this weird person there. So what I'm doing with this, for any of the writers out here, is I'm picking stories to tell that can show how the travel changed us. So at the beginning, there was all these partying stories, which are hard to tell for me. I'm not real proud of that stuff, but that as we kept meeting other people and all the things, you'll be able to see how the road changed, how getting away from what we knew changed us. That I think I hope is interesting. It's interesting for me anyway. So with that in mind, let me play this for Kara here. This is called Woodstock Memories, and Grandma went to Woodstock in 1969. She keeps her ticket stub and a chunk of mud at her house in a little shrine. She was always the girl in the hippie dress twirling at the shows by the Grateful Dead. And when you ask her about it, man, you better sit down. Grandma will talk the ears right off your head. You get her talk about the Grateful Dead, the Essalon Institute, and some other stuff. Jenny was always in her glory when she could hear the stories from her grandma's hippie friends about peace and love, taking care care of one another, how great it all was back then. And that night she would dream of being on the bus with Keezy, seeing Jimmy in 69. But when she wasn't dreaming, she always had the feeling that somehow she'd been born in the wrong time. Should have been 20 in 1969. All the gray-haired hippies say that all the time. But the cool grandchildren of the cool young women who danced in the Woodstock mud are living on the beach in Montezuma, Costa Rica, having all kinds of fun singing. There's only one minute if you're not living in it, it's never coming back again. Love your grandma, Baba, Ram Dass, never said, be there then. It's gonna take a big leap of faith if you really want to find your tribe. Those were the first words Jenny heard in a song that she found online. And that summer she drove all the way to Minnesota to the Shangri-La Festival. And there they all were, all the people like her, who grew up believing that they were all alone. They said, hey girl, welcome home. Because the cool grandchildren of the cool young women who danced in the Woodstock mud are driving down the road all the way to Minnesota, having all kinds of fun singing. Jimmy and Jerry are dead and buried and they're never coming back again. Love your grandma, Baba, Ram Dass, never said, be there then. Jenny's grandma went to Woodstock in 1969. Since then she believed there was never going to be a better time, and that's alright. But if you don't take your big leap of faith and get out there and find your scene, it will pass you by while you are trying to find your grandma's long gone Woodstock memories. Her Woodstock memories. While the cool grandchildren of the cool young women who danced in the Woodstock mud are living on the beach in Montezuma, Costa Rica, having all kinds of fun singing. There's only 1 minute if you're not in it, it's never coming back again. Love your grandma, Baba, Ram Dass, never said, be there then.
All right, done.
Wonderful.
Right on, man. Right on.
Groovy.
Groovy.
It's groovy, right? It's all groovy. You know
Peace,
what
love,
happened?
dove.
Well, you know, we were really interested in figuring out this hippie thing because we lived here in Lynn and everyone with long hair was addicted to barbiturates, and so I would see these like people with long hair, you know, peace and love on TV, but I didn't believe they were really true. I didn't know it was real until we went out there. But then after a while, we got kind of sick of them, really. You know, it was a little much, but there you go. All right, so. I'm gonna play this one here. I just was brushing up on this. This is it's for anybody who's lost somebody. I just heard a terrible story about somebody who lost 3 people to COVID right at the end here because they all refused to be vaccinated. And this person knows the families and all that stuff. So this is called Great Big Heart. It's one I usually have to brush up on to play, so I practiced it a little earlier. And let me play this for you. And it's really just about how weak language is in certain situations. When somebody's lost somebody that they love, there's nothing you can say that doesn't sound stupid. If you're at a funeral and you're talking to the son of the person's, the mother that died, what can you say? How are you? How am I? I'm at my mother's funeral. How do you think? Right? So it's just a sort of tip of the hat to the idea that that a touch on the cheek is more eloquent, that a hug is more eloquent, that there are situations where eye contact is the most articulate thing that can happen, and it sort of shines a light on the limits of language. I think so. That's what I was thinking when I wrote this. So sometimes the wind comes and it blows someone you love away. And I go to that gathering and I ask if your family is okay. Stand in the line in that place. I study the pain on your face. I don't have the answer, I don't have the cure for your pain, but I've got this great, great big heart that's been through an awful lot, but it just keeps getting stronger each time it gets knocked to the ground. It's been good to me. Please take this little piece. I'm sure it will keep you going till your broken heart comes around. Oh, how I would love to build you a castle with a word. A castle of all the most beautiful words in the world. But in all situations like this, a touch on the cheek and a kiss will say so much more than an eloquent castle of words. And I've got this great, great big heart, been through an awful lot, but it just keeps getting stronger each time it gets knocked to the ground. It's been good to me. Please take this little piece. I'm sure it will keep you going till your broken heart comes around. Your friends are all here to be near you and to your family. And we mean it when we say we're here if there is something that you need. We'll visit you and we will phone, but the truth is you do this alone. So please take this gift, this kiss, this touch on the cheek. And I've got this great big heart. It's been through an awful lot, but it just keeps getting stronger each time it gets knocked to the ground. It's been good to me. Please take this little piece. I'm sure it will keep you going till your broken heart comes around. It will keep you going till your broken heart comes around.
What kind of a comedy show is this?
Somebody
have
else
to cry at
finally
least
said it.
once. You only have to cry once. The rest of it's all funny.
I might throw 2 of them in here. Just now you're making me mad.
Well, to be perfectly honest, you've got me about 3 or 4 times on some nights.
That's right. It's great to, I at one time, just so you know, was making a pretty good money at the time just doing stand-up, and I was tempted to keep doing it. I was getting good at it. The Boston scene here was jumping, and they would pay me $600 for a week, and at that time, that was I couldn't tell the difference between the numbers 600 and 6 million. They sounded the same to me. Like it felt like I was getting $6 million, and but eventually I pulled out of that scene. I took what I learned and came over back to the folk scene because it bothered me to not be able to be serious. I missed it. I missed you try being, you want to be in a lonesome moment, be serious in a comedy club. Like not like a big stage of theater, but like a club, like a bar, right? With comedy, with a bunch of college students drinking, woo, right, like that stuff. Start doing something serious, and it's a lonesome moment for you. It's not the right place for it. So I sort of went back to making $6 a week in folk music and built my way back up. But at least I have the freedom to play what I want. So I'm gonna play what I want now for my friend in Kentucky, if she's still there. Is Thelia there? I'm going to play her song for her. So should I wait? All right, I'm going to do it. This is for Thelia. She's in Kentucky. Her mom's going to be the poet of the day today, and so this is for her. It's called Psycho Mom and Dad. Oh, and she's got that best hat. Brandy, can you spotlight her just for a second? Go ahead. There you go. Come on now. That's the best, isn't it? All right. So Thelia, this is for you. This is for you and your parents who are poets. I feel your pain, honestly. Mom come home from work today. I tell you what she saw. Every toy that me and my sister owned was laying out on the floor. And the table was covered with peanut butter and half-eaten sandwiches. There was cereal bowls, an open jar of mayo, and an empty can of tuna fish. Dad was drinking a 6-pack, he had 2 or 3 bottles gone. Sports page was laying on the living room floor, and the football game was on. When Ma tripped over my toy transformer, that pushed her over the edge. And that's when we knew she was turning into Psycho Mom again. She's screaming, I'm fed up, I'm finished, I'm through. I've had it up to here with all of you, I'm running away. I'm leaving today, I'm gonna join the carnival. But first I'm selling you kids for $1 a pound. A couple of cannibals, I used to be normal. Used to be calm. I'm picking up out of you animals, turn me into Psycho Mom. Ma was working, Dad was babysitting us the other night. Me and my brother started yelling at each other and we got into a fight. We were punching, kicking, scratching, pinching, pulling each other's hair. Just about the time we knocked the TV over, we saw Dad standing there. His blood was bubbling, he didn't say nothing. He stood there at the door. Me and my brother took a look at each other and we looked up from the floor. And Dad started to scream like a wild banshee and started pulling out his own hair. And that's when we knew he was psycho too, and we better get out of there. He's screaming, I'm fed up, I'm finished, I'm through. I've had it up to here, I'm running away. Leaving today, I'm gonna join the carnival. But first I'm selling you kids for $1 a pound. A couple of cannibals, I used to be normal. Never got mad. Babysitting you animals, turn me into Psycho Dad. For an hour, mother and father were trying to keep us in bed. Me and my sister never miss a chance to play with their heads. We were using every excuse in the book to try to keep from going to sleep. She said, I'm thirsty. I said, I gotta pee. She said, I forgot to brush my teeth. We just got done with that classic one. Upon this fateful night, where you say it's too dark and they turn on the light, then you cry cause the light's too bright. And my eyes climbed up, Dad's head exploded, and they both climbed up the wall. You should thank the Lord that you were not born to psycho Dad and Mom. They're screaming, we're fed up, we're finished, we're through. We've had enough to hear with all our radio, we're running away. We're leaving today, we're gonna join the carnival. But first we're selling you kids for a penny a pound. To anybody that will take you, we used to be normal. You remember, dear, it was 1975. We were hitchhiking around America, hanging around Big Sur, meeting all these crazy hippies. Coming down from the Esalen Institute in states of dreaminess, spiritual dreaminess. We were peaceful creatures. We never got mad. Raising you animals turned us into psycho Mom and Dad. There you go, Thelia.
Woo! Oh, that's a classic.
It's good to have somebody to play for. If you were in gallery view, you would have saw some good dance, and she was very excited about that number there. All right, so here, let me sing one more song, and then we'll get our spoken word thing going here. I yelled, I screamed, I swore, and she slammed her bedroom door. The house was completely still, and in that silent chill, I began to feel and hear the sounds of my own teen years. Didn't I always say my home would not feel this way? Hey kid, can I come in? Hey, can we start again? There's just too much at stake for us to keep on this way. If this family explodes today and the wounded go their own way, when the time comes to heal, will we still all be here? The pain in my mother's eyes the day that her father died was born in her teenage years of wounds that never healed. Your life keeps on calling you. You hear it call, I do too. It gets louder all the time. I know it won't be denied, but there's just a few short years where we will both live here for this precious and fleeting time. Let me see those brown eyes shine. The pain in my mother's eyes the day that her father died was born in her teenage years of wounds that never healed. If we make a deal today to stop making their mistakes, when the time comes to say goodbye. You won't have my mother's eyes for this precious and fleeting time. Let me see those brown eyes shine.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Appreciate you. All right, so here, let's see. So Amy, you get yourself ready. All right, so this is so today we have this spot here where I like to include spoken word, stories, poems, whatever, prose, and I couldn't gather anybody today to the poets that I knew. They're all busy being poets, whatever that means, and but so Amy from Kentucky, turns out is a poet. I didn't know, but I think in the future, if anybody has something that they love, like a piece, keep it in the 5-minute range that you want to read at this thing, just let me know and we'll find a spot for it. I think I'd like to do that. I'd like to hear what the people who come to the concert think is a special piece of spoken word for themselves, and we can start doing that, those of you that want to come. So for her first time performing here, coming to us from Kentucky, who's got the fancy dancing daughter there, this is Amy Richardson. Let's make her feel welcome, and Brandon, can you spotlight her, please?
Hi. Thank you so much. I'm actually just coming out of a writing residency this week through the Kentucky Women's Foundation. And it's been a virtual residency. It's been really exciting, and I've been very honored to be part of that. The work I'm reading today is not from that, though, because that's tomorrow night. But my daughter has actually picked out what she wanted me to read. So I'm reading the poems selected by Thelia. And the first one is actually about the experience of attending these virtual concerts and how much they have meant to our family. So it's called Thursday Nights During COVID. And I actually took a quote out from Woodstock Memories. There's only 1 minute. If we're not living in it, it's never coming back again. So Thursday nights during COVID. On Thursdays, we gather around the TV and stream Dawn White on YouTube. It became routine quick when we felt happiness seep in from the screen after months of COVID quarantine. He offers songs and stories and sage advice, laughs and reflection, and most of all, hope for us trapped at home, missing live shows and people and sparks of joy from interactions with those who don't share your bathroom. He reminds us that despite this mess, we are still here, alive, living, despite the odds we'd even exist, and we don't get these minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, however long it may be back again. So I carry on with dishes and laundry and the humdrum days, always looking forward to Thursday evenings to carry me to the end of this pandemic.
Wow.
So Ophelia really liked that one.
Oh.
And
Hey.
she asked me to read it.
Good choice.
This other one, I've got another short one.
Sure.
And this one's actually about Ophelia. So of course she wanted me to read it. It's called Her Fierce Spirit is Tethered to This World. Her bare feet dance upon the ground, toes lingering to swish mud and brush across lush summer grass. So much like me at that age, but completely her own. I watch her in awe, inspired and amazed she came from my body, her confidence as she pats out mud cakes like none I've ever owned. Her small finger plunges deep into the pie tin only to emerge and paint long stripes of earth across her cheeks. She laughs at the sensation and the world pauses. There are no other sounds. Her eyes hold all the sunlight I will ever need, but I am heavy with the burden of knowing the nature she loves is fading away before us, disappearing as her heart wraps itself among the trees, buried deep and entangled among the roots.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Thank you.
you got another short one, Amy?
Yeah. You want like a happy one, a sad one, an
I
in
want you to
between
do-
one?
I want
Most of
you-
my poems linger on like the sadder side, but
I want you to do what you want. Fight for what you want.
okay. All right, I'll read this one. A lot of my poetry centers on like our destruction of nature and watching my kids grow up in this world where things are going extinct really rapidly, things that I loved as a child, and how hard that is. So this one's called Extinction. It's surreal to sit with my son and listen to the whippoorwill as we talk about its extinction. The lonely call, fervent then fading, repeat. We watch bats dip down to drink from the pond, disrupting the mirrored sunset across its surface. I think of their fate too. I don't have the heart to share more hopeless facts with a person whose future rests on this crumbling foundation. His excitement to hear the whippoorwill and reassurance, at least we have this moment in our memories, a deduction beyond his years, fills me with a kind of desperate love, a touch of hope, and a deep, aching despair.
That's wonderful, Amy. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's have a nice round of applause for her. That was really beautiful. Everybody unmute and make some noise.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Amy.
Beautiful.
Wow, so I didn't know what we were gonna have here, and it seemed like a fix, didn't it, when you started talking about me at the beginning? Like, it seemed like a big plan that we had, like offline, you and I. But I really didn't know any of that. Thank you for the kind words and for the lovely words, and for the support through this year. And so we're gonna take just a little break here. I'm gonna come back and perform till about 25 past. Those of you watching on other platforms, welcome. You're welcome to come over here and join the interactive part. Brandon, our technician, will put the access information for the Zoom meeting in your chat. And cut and paste that and come on over and chat with us. But you can stay over there as well. I'll be back, and then we'll have an after party with some special guests later too. So I'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and if you can donate, that would be great. It's free. This thing's free, but if you can, if you can help out with the grocery bill, that would be excellent. We'll put the information up here. Use Venmo or PayPal or mail me a letter or anything that you like. And I'll be back in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Don.
back in front of the psychedelia. There we go, right there. And if you're in a quiet place, go ahead and unmute your computer so that we can chat a little bit. That last Amy talking about being in a writer's retreat made me think of this. I think you should find some way to express yourself, no matter who you are, or how old you are, or whatever. It's just good for you. Hard, dark, cold world with everybody in their cars in a million-mile traffic jam trying to get to their jobs. You there with your bright light, hiding in your little room with your guitar and your pencil, writing your secret tune. Go light, go light, go light the world on fire. This is your day, it's your time. Go light the world on fire. In the first part, if you learn what you love to do. In the middle part, if you do it a lot till it becomes a part of you. In the last part, you give the world the best work of your life. And then you lay down with a big smile, tell this whole world good night. Go light, go light, go light the world on fire. This is your day, it's your time. Go light the world on fire. Hard, dark, cold world with everybody in their cars in a million-mile traffic jam trying to get to their jobs. We need you to come on down from your little room. Bring your bright light to the dark night. Play us your secret tune. Go light, go light, go light the world on fire. This is your day, it's your time. Go light the world on fire. Light the world on fire. This is your day, it's your time. Go light the world on fire. Go light the world on fire. Go on and light the world on fire. Yeah.
Great one.
Thank you.
Not in that key, it won't work, I don't think. So this is a song that I've been starting my shows with since the 90s, and for any writers out there, what was happening to me was I was trying to get the audience to feel relaxed on stage early, and I wanted a song that would get some laughs in it. You know, so when people laughed, I felt like I could relax, which was unsustainable because it's not their responsibility to make me feel good, you know what I mean? But anyway, I wrote this song. I didn't wait around for inspiration. I just thought, I need a song that opens the show. And then I thought, well, what does that mean? What is an opener song? So you know in journalism how they'll say the first 2 paragraphs should be a summary of the column of the article. That's what I thought about. I thought I'm gonna stick everything in this that's gonna be stretched out later. So I wanted to show my sense of humor. I wanted to show some of my tricks, that I can howl in the middle of a song if I want, that I can stop and talk in the middle if I want. I want the some of my identity to be revealed. You know, I want it to be like a touchstone for a little bit of all the things that were to come. And it turned out to be a good idea. You know, I've tried to open my shows with other things, but this one does the job well. People get a little bit of what's to come, and a lot of me is established in it. So it's like a songwriting lesson here. It's a good thing to write something that way. You know, think if you can compose something that will show everybody in 5 minutes a little bit of what's to come. It's a good thing. Rascal is a dog, he ain't too bright. Me and Rascal were sitting on the couch last night when my woman come in, started to cry. She looked at us with such terror in her eyes. She said, I have raised these children for 18 years. Now they're growing up and they're moving out of here, and my big reward for all that I've been through is this dog as dumb as mud. And you, yippee-yahoo. Rascal looked at me in disbelief. He said, she can't be talking about you and me. She's got us to spend the rest of her whole life with. Would you please tell her how incredibly lucky she is? And I said, who's gonna love you any better than this? Will wake you up every morning with big wet kisses when we hear the police sirens in your neighborhood. We throw our heads up in the air and we howl for you. Ow! And that's cool. You gotta admit that's pretty cool. You know, I don't believe we had succeeded in convincing her of the outrageous good fortune that had just befallen her. In fact, instead of looking happy as she could be, she looked a little bit, well, you know, suicidal to me. But hey, kids, those college kids move away, but dogs and husbands, that's who stays. To you it seems like a big trick of fate, but me and Rascal don't see it that way. We're thinking, ain't we cuddly, ain't we cute? We're both real funny, both real true. There's another thing about us that's very cool. If you scratch us on our belly, our left leg moves. And you gotta admit that's cool. Ow! Ow! Okay, so maybe we ain't that smart. We're a couple of mutts with a lot of heart. But no one could ever love you better or give you more loyalty than this dog as dumb as mud. This dog as dumb as mud. This dog as dumb as mud. And me. How lucky can one girl be? She's got a dog like you and a man like me. We'll be together well into this next century. Put that knife down, baby.
Yeah, bravo.
I love that song.
I haven't played it for a while. I mean, it doesn't, when I start a show with it, I can flirt and use body language and get everybody howling. Everybody howling in this format is just tragic. All right, so here, let me wind up my part of this with this song. I want to thank everybody that was able to throw a few bucks my way during the last break. I appreciate that. I'll play this last song here. We'll take another short break, and then we'll have our after party with our special guests, and we'll see who we can drag in from the crowd. And thanks to everybody watching on the other platforms. YouTube over there, Facebook over there. Love you, appreciate you. Share it if you're out there. So the more the merrier. I overheard a man complaining how his 401k was not performing quite how he would like it to. As he sipped his double latte and continued to complain, I thought about that day in 1982. We were living in the shack with the outhouse in the back. If I'm not mistaken, you were pregnant too. We thought it might be funny to count all of our money and discuss the investing we could do. We pulled our pockets inside out, pulled the cushions off the couch, stuck our fingers way down deep inside. Then we emptied out the pockets of the jackets in our closet, but not one single penny did we find. So after the realization our financial situation was not conducive to investment at this time, we decided to invest in what we've always done best. We danced around the kitchen for a while, we do the victory dance. Life is such a mess, we don't know what else to do. We do the victory dance when being penniless became literal to me and you. Well, you can jump off of a building, take a bunch of pills, you can walk around in a trance. But if you wake up in the morning on the right side of the lawn, go on and do the victory dance. I got fired from a job I was working at for 20 years faithfully. Oh dear, oh God, oh my, how will I ever survive without a corporation taking care of me? I was so stressed out for weeks, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, didn't think that things would ever turn my way. And then a couple months went by, I began to realize, man, I really hated working at that place. So I started working for myself, improved my mental health. Now I'm happier than I've ever been before. Oh dear, oh my, oh God, I should have quit that stupid job 19 years ago. I do the victory dance. My life forces me to go out on my own. And then I just declare victory, and I march my army home. There are things you can't control, things you'll never know, but things are always left to chance. If you're a clerk or you're a farmer, work from home in your pajamas, do the victory dance. When your life forces you to go out on your own, just declare victory, and then march your army home. There are things you can't control, things you'll never know, things are always left to chance. But if you wake up in the morning on the right side of the lawn, if they canceled all your shows and you got nowhere to go, and you're sitting in your room playing concerts on Zoom, and you wonder what it means to play songs to a computer screen, and across the top are little squares, and all your friends are trapped inside of there, and you say to your friends who are trapped in the squares, give me a sign, let me know you're all okay, and there you are. You know, trapped in a square on a computer screen is just a tragic metaphor for quarantine, that's right. If you lose your money, but you still got your honey. If you lose your honey, but you still got some money. If you find it hard to cope cause your kids are all on dope, don't surrender yet, try not to forget. In this game of life we're in this game of life we're in this game of life that we are in, if you don't die, you win.
Oh, John!
Oh,
Hey!
Neil! Good to hear your voice,
Yeah.
buddy. All right.
Good to see you. Good to hear you.
All right. That concludes my portion of this Thursday night number 1 million, whatever it is. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to take just another 2-minute break. If you can throw a couple of bucks into the grocery bill, we would all appreciate that around here. It's been a long old haul, and I never took any unemployment or anything here. I've just been making it this way here. So every of these little donations that you do, they really help around here. So thank you so much for that. And don't worry about it if you don't have any money either, by the way. I love you. And I'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll have our very exciting and interesting and diverse after party. Yay!
Oh.
All right, boys and girls, here we are at the famous, the world famous, the legendary after party, coming to you from a secret bunker, psychedelicized here in my house in Lynn, Massachusetts. So I'm gonna start with my friend Walter from Worcester, Mass. So this is Walter's first online concert. So it's a big day for him, and this is somebody that I just love him dearly. He's just a good man. I've known him a long time. When I first met him, he was always a musician and all that, but he also was a music writer, wrote reviews and stuff like that. He's also just a great human being and a good advocate for the right causes. He's a pretty outspoken and serious man out there in the world. But I just think he's a great entertainer, and I'm so glad for us to have his sort of online debut. We spent Peter Lendorfer's here. He helped him with his technology, and we did a sound check for him today. So we're bringing Walter Crockett into the live streaming world. Another debut. So unmute yourselves, everybody, and make a lot of noise and applaud for my friend Walter Crockett.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, welcome for your debut. Yeah. Hey, so you can see me, right? Is it on, Bob? Is it rolling? Yeah. Okay. The sun keeps going down. Excuse me, I got chimes over here. I was gesturing in the window. The sun started going down, so I may get darker and darker. I did want to... Here's a song I wrote like a while back, like a real while back, about a woman I was married to for 30 years and together with for 32, Valerie. And it's about the day we met, which was April 12th, 1979. I was 30, but I was, a young 30. No, a young 30. And she was 20, but she was an old 20, so it wasn't really like robbing the cradle. But she was at Clark Spree Day. She was like a junior, and I was playing in a band that was a popular band at the time, and we hit it right off. And so this is kind of about that. And every word of it really is actually true. The only thing I'd like to clear up is that there really was no opium. The opium was just something that my friends Louie and Mario said they had that night, and I used. And if I came over, I never having had any opium at the time, I thought that would be a pretty good pickup line. So when I met Valerie, I used it, and it worked like a snap. And it come to find out that she was tripping at the time. This is true, but it was a mild dose, so it's not like we're druggies or anything. It's just she was pretty much over it by the end of the show anyway, as far as I can remember. But I guessed it, and that was a piece of wisdom. And anyway, so it wasn't opium. They said, I said, you want to go out and smoke some opium? And she said, sure, having been hypnotized by me. And it turned out it was hash oil, and but this song kind of tells a story in fits and starts, and it's called Silken Strings. On a balmy April evening, as the sun was sinking low, the band was really cooking, and the crowd was letting go. She was dancing by the hillside when she moved to catch her when I moved to catch her eye. Something told me I didn't have to try. I said, excuse me, are you tripping? Or do you always smile that way? First she burst out laughing, and then she blushed and turned away. And I knew then I could love her, though I did not know her name. Something told me she might feel the same. Play on those silken strings, play on, play on. Play on the golden ties that bind. Play on my heartstrings, please play on, until the day we leave this play behind. So we set off in search of opium, but she placed her pipe, and I forgot my papers, so we drove around half the night. Ending up at Mario and Louie's, where I played up all of my songs. And so we sang together all night long. Play on those silken strings, play on, play on. Play on the golden ties that bind. Play on my heartstrings, please play on, until the day we leave this play behind. This song was supposed to be in the third person, but I switched it to the second person, which is a proof of a rule that I made a long time ago. Whenever I play any kind of open mic thing, I will always make mistakes that no matter how much I practice, I never anticipate. So anyway, we're going back to the third person. It was maybe 3 years later that he took her for his wife. And she bought him a brand new guitar, and they led the gypsy life. In the bars and the pubs and the taverns, they would sing and play and dance, knowing life ain't got no meaning if you never take a chance. And they dreamed of going together when both were old and gray, have themselves a family when the first child came to stay. And if they never made a fortune, and if they only got along, still they had each other for a song. Play on those silken strings, play on, play on. Play on the golden ties that bind. Play on my heartstrings, please play on, until the day we leave this play behind. Play on those silken strings, play on, play on the golden ties that bind. Play on my heartstrings, please play on, You may not be the first one, but you will be the last one, until the day we leave this play behind.
Whoa, Walter, that was great. I love those. I love the song.
Man, that was a debut right there, baby.
That's for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Walter. Nice job. So, Walter, you'll hang around, and we'll go around a couple times, and next time around we'll talk a little bit. We'll talk about Valerie or anything you want. Okay?
Okie dokie.
All right. One more time for Walter Crockett.
Hey,
Debut
Walter.
online. Look at that.
What a debut.
Bringing Grandpa into the internet. There we go.
There you go.
All right, so now I want to introduce you to Paul Strickland. This is a man that I met via Bill Lepp. Bill Lepp, a storyteller extraordinaire, and he just kept telling me about this guy Paul, and I got to see him, and of course Bill was right. He's quite a fantastic storyteller. I think that kind of like me, they came into the storytelling world from a separate world. Their world is the fringe festivals. You can tell me if I'm right about that when we get to chatting, but he certainly is making his way in the storytelling world, and I think if they stop postponing it, we're going to be performing together at the Cave Run Storytelling Festival probably next year, I'm thinking. So let's have a nice welcome for the first time here, Paul Strickland, and he's with the lovely Erica as well.
Hey, Paul and Erica.
Hi. Thanks for having us, Don. This is actually so fun. We're really excited to get a chance to play this two-song cycle in 2 songs that we made based on an ancient folk tale that we made up. So that's what we're doing here. And so this story comes from an ancient time, and it was a time when people used to break bread. That term, breaking bread, people would tear a loaf of bread in half and offer it to someone as a way to commune, which, this is obviously in the era known as pre-sandwich.
Our term, broken heart, actually comes to us from that same time and place, from ancient practice where people would take their hearts physically out of their chests and tear them in half, and then offer half of their heart to someone else.
Not for like lunch, Don.
Why not?
No, it was for love. Person A would take out their heart and tear it in half and offer half of it to person B, whom they loved.
And then person B would take their heart out of their chest, tear it in half, and then offer half of it to person A, whom they love.
And then each person would place the other's half heart into the space in their chests next to their own half heart. And then the 2 half hearts would grow together into one whole heart in each person.
It's pretty beautiful, isn't it?
And it really de-incentivized breakups. People just did not break up as much back in those times, and probably not because they were necessarily happier. I think it's just because all breakups were messier pre-sandwich. This story that we're going to tell in 2 songs over the course of the night. The first song here, it comes from that ancient time back before a broken heart was just a metaphor. And this first song is called The Man Who Fell in Love with 3:12 a.m.
Because some titles just write themselves. There once was a man who on accident fell deeply in love with 3:12 a.m.
That's from the title.
A strange thing to love, but in his defense,
in most cases, love doesn't make much sense. Falling in love with a minute is rare. But is it really actually any stranger than climbing up hair?
Nope.
It's less bizarre by far than kissing a toad. So let's accept the moment the man fell in love with a minute and see where the story goes.
We've all felt that moment you realize you're happy. The moment just stopped the man right where he stood. The street lights were halos, the soft breeze was sighing. A fall night so perfect, he'd never felt so good. He was so full of gratitude, so much so he became confused.
with feelings that strong. Someone must be to blame. So he looked down at his wristwatch and thought maybe he'd just learned his lover's name. The next day, to be sure, he dated more minutes. But everybody knows speed dating ain't fun. 8 a.m. was awful.
He was not a morning person.
Noon was just okay.
12:59 was not the one.
3:12 p.m. was a disappointing twin. 8 p.m. was way too prime time for him. And midnight spent the whole time talking about itself. We've all been on that date. Maybe you're wasting too much of your life if you're waiting up all night for just 3:12.
Just after 3:11, he pulled his heart out of his chest, broke it like bread, offered half of it up. But 3:12 a.m. offered him nothing back. In 1 minute it was unrequited love.
The poor man felt betrayed, and in a stupid fit of rage, he threw his half a heart hard into the woods. Which just goes to show you one man's half a broken heart means a stray dog somewhere's got it pretty good. There once was a man who on accident thought he fell in love with 3:12 a.m. But it was the world the way it had been, that he had loved so much in that moment. Half a heart in that whole heart's place, it leaves a painful lot of space. But he won't live a half-hearted life for long. So here is the question about the man with half a heart in a whole heart's place. Will he fill it in with love?
Or will he fill it in with hate?
To find out, tune in next song.
Cliffhanger.
Whoa, that was awesome, you guys.
Thank you.
That was really great.
That was, you know, we've had occasion here from people who have come, like last week Nancy Tucker wrote a song about a pair of socks, and I was like, where do you people come up with these ideas? you know, that was just fantastic. One more time for Paul and Erica, please.
Oh, that was great, you guys.
All right, so I think we'll go back to what we're going to do. We'll go back to Walter. We'll get the second half of that song after that. Then, let's see. I want to let you know that Amy put her information in the chat if you want to find more about her poetry and all that, so be sure and do that. And then, Peter Lendorf, if you want, we'll try to find a spot for you for helping Walter out with his tech and everything, if you don't mind, maybe somewhere in the next round, right? So we'll do that and go around a couple of times. So let's go back to Walter here. Let's see. We've dealt with opium and hash oil. What else you got?
Old age. It'll kill you too.
Walter, let's talk a little bit just for a second. Walter, So how long were you married to Valerie? 30 something years?
30 years married, and 2 years before that. We actually, it was love on first sight. Pretty good.
I hope this is okay. I just want to talk about her funeral, if that's okay with you. It was one of the most amazing events I ever was at in my life, honestly. It was in Worcester, and it wound up with everybody singing and in a big chorus line marching around the church. I assume you remember all of this, right? It was "Will the Circle Be Unbroken" or something, and everyone just
Circle, yeah.
this great big line of people. It was just the most wonderful tribute to a person that I've seen. It was really so memorable to me. So. Just want to throw that out there in the world.
I put that, we had it videotaped, and I thought, well, I'm really going to watch this, and I have never watched it, and that was 2009, yeah. Some things just don't, you just have to leave them there, and I mean, it comes back on its own.
In my memory, really, Walter, it was one of the most wonderful tributes to anybody I've ever seen. I'm an old man. I've been to a lot of funerals. It was just lovely, and a real testimony to the community in Worcester and all the folks out there, and to everybody, and to her, of course. So
yeah, she's a great woman.
All right, so let me ask you something. So when you were a kid, what was did you have did you see something hear something on the radio and you knew, hey, I'm going to be a musician? Were you influenced by something early on that you can put it?
Absolutely. When I was a kid, we lived in Michigan. It was before TV, really. We didn't get a TV till I was in 6th grade, but this was in the early 50s. I was growing up, and you'd hear Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, and you heard a lot of kind of Western songs. And then moved to Kansas, following my father, who was starting a career as a college teacher, and that's when Elvis came out, and I used to try to make my hair look like Elvis and play a tennis racket, and do little moves and stuff. This is 4th grade. I had a little Radio Shack kind of transistor radio kit. I was totally sold on rock and roll from 1956 anyway.
From the minute you heard it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Worcester, and Worcester was people don't know this unless they live there, but it had this station WORC, which was all request. So it was like democratic rock and roll. I mean, in the sense that the public requested the songs, and they'd play the most ones that got the most requests. And so I got into Buddy Holly, and then I got into, Chuck Berry and Fats Domino, and it was a whole, back in the days when they did all kinds of musical, black and white, everything together, the Shirelles, eventually the Miracles and the Beatles. But then in high school, I went for 1 year to a private school, and they were into folk music, and listened to Joan Baez and Pete Seeger, and came out of there and started going to see Jim Kweskin at Club Passy. I mean, well, it was Club 47, but I was too young to get in there. And it was just, so that was pretty soon, my entire everything is eclectic.
So let me get this straight. Let's draw a line from this. So Buddy Holly and Elvis to Joan Baez, Bob Dylan to opium and hashish. That's the line. That's the thread line.
There is a direct line there. Yes, right. But fortunately, I have a low tolerance for heavy drugs. I just never could do any. My mother always told me, I don't want to hear about you popping any pills. I never knew anyone who popped any, so that wasn't, but it still stuck with me anyway, so I never got anything. And, now I have to eat gummies and stuff like that, and even so, sometimes if I overdose, I'm crawling on the floor to get back to the bed, It's a sad state.
I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're making your debut online. That the entire world is seeing this, right? Okay, good. All right. So why don't you play us another tune? Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say that to introduce this, back when I was 15 years ago, I was 60, and I was getting old, I thought. I'm much younger now, but I started worrying about being old, and I thought I'd conquer it by writing songs, and so I tried one. It was I'm an old bald guy, nice red nose, big beer belly, long nail toes, drink Metamucil, talk prostate, pump my irons with 2-pound weights. I'm an old bald guy, and I love my jelly roll. And I thought that was going to be a hit, but it wasn't a hit. My daughter begged me never to play that out anywhere. It was too embarrassing for the honor of the family. But I did once, and it didn't matter. So as I got, I think when you get to my age now, after a while, you kind of get over it. And so I feel, like Dylan said, a little bit younger, even though, in fact, that's not the case. But I did write this song, after Val died. It was a long time for her. And then a few years later, I, started hanging out with a woman that... and we fell in love, and I was very, very lucky to have find another wonderful love in my life. Most people don't find one of them. I had two, and still do. Her name's Nancy, and I wrote this sort of for her. In a way, it was actually for me, who would I rather talk about, than me? But it was really for Nancy, and it mentions her in the song too. That's what it's all about. It's called I don't know what it's called. This old heart. Well, take a look at this old heart. So many cracks, bruised in the front, scarred in the back. It's a wonder that the love flows through it like it does. And did you notice this old brain twists and it turns, trying to explain all the lessons that it learned? It's a wonder my mind don't lose it, but it don't, not that it won't. And these old hands still reach for more. These old ears keep an eye on the door. 'Cause when you come knocking, my heart starts thumping, my brain starts buzzing, then my tongue says something about falling in love with you, just like I did when this old heart was new. And get a load of this old soul, sparkle in the dawn, dance a little jig with the robin on the lawn. It's a wonder that her smiling face brings amazing grace. But sometimes when the now goes then goes there, ghosts ride in on the midnight air. It's a wonder if the light of day could drive them all away. But this old man can't ask for more, and this old hawk keeps an eye on the door. 'Cause when you come knocking, my heart starts thumping, my brain starts buzzing, then my tongue says something about falling in love with you, just like I did when this old heart was new. Hey, sometimes love can't catch a break, but sometimes time is all it takes. All it takes. This is the orchestral part. Oh, So if you got a brand new heart, go ahead and use it. If you want to find it, first you gotta lose it. It's a wonder how a heart takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And these old hands still reach for more. These old ears keep an eye on the door. 'Cause when you come knocking, my heart starts thumping, my brain starts buzzing, then my tongue says, hey. You come knocking, heart start trumping, blood starts pumping, fists start bumping. When you come knocking, the van starts rocking, the noise gets shocking, the neighbors start squawking, the cops come calling, you start bawling, 'cause I'm falling in love with you, just like I did when this old heart was new. Hey, just like I did when this old heart was new. Ooh.
Excellent, excellent.
Oh, Walter, that was awesome. That's great.
Nice job, Walter.
That was great, Walter. Oh, man. Thank you so much. All right, let's hear it one more time for Walter. He'll be back one more time. Let's make some
All
noise.
right, Walter.
Walter.
Great job.
Oh, man. That was a treat. That was really good. All right. So, Paul, let's talk a little bit here. So, how did you wind up getting involved in what you do? Like, it's hard to describe what you do. Like, and there are people that are only just seeing just a little piece of it here, right?
Yeah, I would say that that has been maybe an overarching theme of my whole career, has been that it's hard to describe what I do. Yeah, I think I started out in sort of the stand-up comedy world, and I was touring around doing that, and some singer-songwriter rooms as well. And then I kind of got into doing solo storytelling shows, and that's where I met Erica. Erica Kate McDonald is well, I'll let you talk about yourself.
That's all right.
Erica Kate McDonald is she's a puppeteer and does solo theater as well on the Fringe theater circuit. So we both met at the Minnesota Fringe Festival in 2013 and have been making things together ever since. So yeah, it's been a weird sort of stumble backward into amazing things.
Yeah. You know, we talked about this on the phone the other day. I just want to say it for everybody. When you in the beginning of what you do, if no one can describe it, it's a lie. It hurts. It's hard for people trying to help you to sell you, to package you, right? But if you persevere and you build an audience up that likes it, it becomes a tremendous asset because they have to come to you for it. You know, so it's a long slog and maybe whatever. But when you get across that line, when there's enough people who love the unique thing that you do, it's a great place to be at because they can't. It's not like being in a blues band. They can go see another blues band. They have to come to you for what it is. But man, it's a long haul. I believe me, I know. So I wish you the best there. So I really do, and I'm so delighted that you're here. And why don't you play us another? Oh, tell us the rest of that story if you don't mind.
Oh, okay, let's do that one then. Thanks so much, Don.
Sure.
So yeah, let's. This next song is the second song in this song cycle, and it is called "The Space Next to His Half a Heart."
This continues the strange story of a man with half a heart. The next day, though rain was pouring, he decided he'd go to the park.
But this is also the saga of a small turtle wobbling by. The man was sitting there sad and drenched on that park bench but that small turtle seemed just fine. Look, we've all done some bad things, careless, thoughtless, and unkind. We've all made our fair share of mistakes. You've made yours, and I've made mine. So let's not judge, 'cause that's where the trouble always starts. Let's just watch what happens when that man grabs that turtle and crams it in the space next to his half a heart. Little surrealistic mischief's gonna speed the song up a tad.
He looked around real nervous, stood up and left the park and bench behind. Ran away 'cause he wasn't even sure if turtle transplant was a crime.
He wasn't even looking where he was sprinting. With every step, puddles detonate. He thought about jumping the fence, but that would look kinda suspicious, since he could just walk through the open gate.
As he was walking home, he was thinking about a nice warm bath. Thought a bath might do his heart good,
most especially the turtle half. Post-bath, he made himself some bread for dinner. Then he went to bed early for the night. But of course he couldn't sleep, 'cause in his heart something wasn't right.
he was still wide awake when 3:12 a.m. tick-tocked through. And while it took a minute, the man learned what he had to do.
The minute said, have some patience. Most times half-hearts do grow back. They can grow back into whole hearts. But they need space to do that.
So the man pulled out a flashlight and made his way back to the park.
He ripped his pants, jumping the fence, because that gate is closed after dark.
So here's the end of the story.
A more or less moral's all that remains. When he reached inside his chest and pulled that turtle out, he watched it walk on air in his hands for a while before he placed it on the ground. And sure, the emptiness and pain did return as that turtle walked away. But that's the day that that man slowly began to change. A two-song song cycle of the oldest folk tale we ever made up.
Bravo.
Oh, Erica! That was awesome.
You guys sing great.
You too. Your harmonies, your guitar play, everything. Wow.
Oh, thanks.
The whole package and the story. Wow.
That was really, really wonderful. One more time for Paul and Erica, please.
Yeah, that was awesome, you guys.
All right, we'll go around one more time, but before we do that, I would like to pull in my friend Peter Landorf. Peter is a good friend of mine, and I've known him a long time, and he's also a good friend to everybody. We were at our Performers Forum, and Walter was concerned about his tech, and Peter took upon himself to go ahead and help him out with that on his own time. He just does that kind of stuff for everybody. He's runs an open mic in a place called the Vanilla Bean in Pomfret, Connecticut. A virtual open mic every Monday. He's just a great guy and a really good songwriter, and writes interesting, good songs as we have heard this evening. So let's have a nice round of applause for a cameo appearance by Peter Landorf.
Hey, Peter! Good to see you, my friend.
Peter.
Thanks. I was having trouble with my own sound because I had my air conditioner on. I sing from the attic. So I was trying to, that's a hard act to follow. Wait a minute, I got too much reverb here. All right. That was a hard act to follow, so I don't know whether to do something animal-oriented or something about my hometown. Since Walter was talking about, really, I met Walter on Monday. We started communicating about the open mic, and I decided thought I could help him out with his sound. So, but Walter was talking about Worcester, and I grew up north of there in Fitchburg, Mass, which is kind of the Lynn of Central Massachusetts.
So it's awesome, is what you're saying.
It's awesome.
Good.
But so I went, like Walter was saying, he went to a private school. I went to a all boys school for high school, and well, this song kind of talks about it. This is about my going to my high school reunion. Well, I went back to Fitchburg, Mass. I had lunch with some old friends. We were the class of '68. It's 50 years since then. We arrived as strangers, 12 guys with thinning hair. We could have used some name tags when we first got there. I went to an all-boys school taught by brothers, not by monks. We held dances in our gym. By and large, they stunk. We laughed about our teachers and Catcher in the Rye, and how we always had to wear a jacket and a tie. The river that ran through my town changed colors every day. Some days it was red or green, sometimes purple, sometimes gray. The paper mills and paper mills have all but moved away. We talked about, wait a minute, let me try that again. The paper mills and the factories have all but moved away. The river kept on flowing, and we all moved away. Well, Bill was a park ranger. He wore a wide-brimmed hat. Our quarterback was a beekeeper. Try to picture that. Norman moved to Montreal. He was a social worker. Frank became a CPA. Bob became a lawyer. Some were good at science. Some wrote computer code. Some of us are all high tech. Some still have flip phones. fought our wives. A few of us are gay. Few of us still go to church, but most have dropped away. Some guys couldn't make it there. Jeff called from Idaho, and we made plans to say goodbye to Nick at his nursing home. The river that ran through my town is all cleaned up today. The paper mills have all closed down and the fish have come to stay. I looked at those old yearbooks. I was on the debating team. And for an hour or two, I was 17. I went back to Fitchburg, Mass. I had lunch with my old friend.
Nicely done. Beautiful.
Hey, Peter, that was awesome.
Thanks.
All right, Peter Lindorf, thank you for that tune and for being a good guy in this world. I'm glad to know you. So, all right, so let's do like our sort of lightning round here. What that means is you can do whatever you want, take as much time as you want. Really, it just means that I'm not going to be yapping in between. So, Walter Crockett, on your mark, get set, go, folk singer, go.
All right. You know, I'll just introduce this quickly. Since you're not going to yak, I might as well. I wrote this back in like 82 when my band was about to break up. We had a rock and roll band with Valerie that met her in 77, and we got married in 79, started a band, a trio, and then grew into a rock and roll band. We played all over New England and made a living for a while, but after a while, you know, I'm playing in bars and some girl comes up to me and says, "Oh, you know, nice looking young woman that in my, before, you know, I was a couple I would have been interested in." She said, "You went to high school with my dad." I thought, oh my, you know. So at that point, you know, which I wasn't that old, maybe 36, I kind of started thinking I was old, and I ended up writing this song. I hate to continue a theme of age here, so please play some children's songs when you get home. Or, well, you're already home, aren't you? But it's a little different, and it's kind of, send it out to all of you, really. It's kind of a message within a song within a song. The song's, just to explain it in case you miss some of the words, it's narrated by a guy who was at a party on a hilltop outside a little town in Tennessee where people were playing some music. And it comes back after the modulation. He's like 40 years older, and to the same hill. And modulations from B flat to C always make us feel older, I think. But that's pretty much it. But it's, I don't know. It's called Carrying On. Six kids sitting on a hillside singing, overlooking a Tennessee town. It was me and Slim and the Jackson twins, Big Weasel and Sally Brown. 3 guitars, a couple kazoos, a gallon of cheapo wine. We were feeling all right by the firelight when a crash come from behind, scared the twins near out of their mind. It was a skinny old man in convict stripes with a 3-day growth of beard. He said, "Kids, don't run, I ain't got no gun, there ain't no reason to fear. I just busted loose of the calaboose and they shot my buddy down. All I need is a change of clothes, a look at the old hometown, and I'll be Alabama bound." He said my buddy was a jailhouse minstrel, barely knew right from wrong, but if you pass me down that old guitar, I'll play his favorite song. He called it Carrying On. goes like this. Go in peace, go in truth, keep your faith, you can't keep youth. And if I never see your smiling face again, take the spirit of the song, make your own when mine is gone. For I'll be there in the whine and the wail and carrying on. Well, we sent Big Weasel down off of the hill to get the man a change of clothes. Sally Brown said, Mister, where you gonna run? He said, I don't rightly know. But the night was right and the wine was fine, and we sang the songs he knew, serenading the deer and the skunks and the bear with the good old Mountain Dew. Oh, the good old Mountain Dew. And when he finally rose to leave us, as the night turned into dawn, he passed me back my old guitar. We played his favorite song, the one called Carrying On. Go in peace, go in truth, keep your faith, you can't keep youth. And if I never see your smiling face again, take the spirit of the song, make your own when mine is gone. For I'll be there in the whine and the wail and carrying on. That was 40 years ago, and I married Sally Brown. And it wasn't but a month or so till a fever struck her down. And I've been a rambler ever since, I guess I always will. But you must imagine my surprise when I climbed back up this hill, and the kids were singing still. So I thank you for the change of clothes, the music and the wine. And if you pass me by on that old guitar, I hope that you won't mind if we sing it one more time. Go in peace, go in truth, keep your faith, you can't keep youth. And if I never see your smiling face again, take the spirit of the song, make your own when mine is gone. For I'll be there in the whine and the wail and carrying on. Go in peace, go in truth, keep your faith, you can't keep youth. And if I never see your smiling face again, take the spirit of the song, won't you make your own when mine is gone? For I'll be there in the whine and the wail and carrying on. Yes, I'll be there in the whine and the wail and carrying on.
Oh, Walter, that was great.
Thank you, thank you.
Great songs you wrote.
Thanks everybody, and thanks Peter so much for helping me get that. He spent a long time helping me get the sound right.
I appreciate it. Nice. Let's hear it for Walter one more time.
All right, Walter. Great debut.
So
Thanks,
listen,
Walter.
all of you people trying to make a living out there, whatever platform you're on in the music business, I want to tell you this story that Walter told me last week about their merchandise plan that they had back when they had cassettes. So make sure I got this right, Walter. So they brought their new cassette to their show, and they gave you $1 if you took the cassette, and it had a money back guarantee. So if you didn't like it, you have to give them back their $1.
It worked like a charm, too.
It worked like a charm. Walter, I want to thank you for all the joy you put in the world over these years and continue to do. I look forward to coming out there to Worcester now that COVID's over, and we'll grab lunch or something. So thanks a lot for everything, not just today, but all through the years. You're a great man, and I'm glad to know you, buddy. All right.
Thank you, Don. You've been so good to me.
All right. So Paul Strickland, All right, so let's see. On your mark, get set. Storyteller, comedian, wise guy, singer, songwriter, go.
Hey, Paul.
I think I was sitting here trying to decide what I wanted to do next, and I think since we're continuing with the stories of aging, and also I feel like we've done a fair amount of jokes, so I want to do a little bit of a darker story that then ends really hopeful. Is that okay with everybody?
That's great.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is a story that's called The Child and the Crowd, and I found it in the last remaining library left in America, which is, they used to have, truthberries and libraries used to be separate, and then they combined them and then renamed them library because truthberry sounds stupid. So this is a story called The Child and the Crowd. On the morning the child was born, he became a member of his mother's monster. He was surrounded by his 12 sisters and brothers. And when the midwife tried to offer the child to the mother to hold, the mother crossed her arms in front of her own wide-eyed moan instead, jerking her head, shuddering in the bed, terrifying the entire family. Anochlophobia is how they diagnosed her. Anochlophobia is doctor talk for fear of crowds. He was, after all, the 12th youngster. On the morning that child was born, he became a member of his mother's monster. And that's how the child's weird life began. The 12th child in this family, and the straw that broke the camel's back of his mother's imminent panic attacks. Everybody knows you cannot cozy up to an anochlophobia mom. The mother was committed to an asylum for a while. And while inside, doctors were able to make her more comfortable with strangers via the game Red Rover. She played it with other patients. She was okay with the hand-holding, but could never look left or right, because a line of people on both sides of her seemed so scary, but there was only one person on each side of her if she closed her eyes. She was committed to an asylum for a while and then released, but while inside, she'd become committed to the asylum. So when she was released, she immediately tried to break back in, which at that time was considered insane, and so she was committed to the asylum. How the kids coped? The oldest was a mess, and most suggest she left to play Red Rover with her mother. The rest did the best they could, without an aunt or an uncle or any others. They inherited a terrible situation. And that is why they made up strange rituals as a way to get through the days. For instance, every hour, on the hour, for exactly 1 minute, the oldest 10 of them would couple up and do what they assumed was hugging. They would grab each other by the shoulders and say, there, over and over again for exactly 1 minute. Like a clock with two hands, they were just going through the motions. Now, the 12th child, since the oldest one left, was now the odd one out. When the oldest 10 coupled up to hug, there were no hugs for that 12th child, either on the hour or off. And that's what made that kid an old man fast. By the age of 10, that child had amassed a long, strange gray beard. And without anyone to ask, he just decided it must be smoke billowing from the sides of his face and the top of his neck and his chin. He decided there must be something on fire inside of him. He would reach into his smoke and tug and yank and then look in his hands at the strands of broken smoke, which he thought looked like the tiniest, oldest, brittlest bones. One night, while the oldest 10 coupled up to hug, the 12th child disappeared into the woods behind the house, walking west, which was where he'd heard the water was. He walked for days and nights through the woods until finally he came out on the other side. And he walked up to the cliff's edge, and he looked down at the ocean water hundreds of feet beneath. And he reached into his smoke and he tugged and yanked and decided that amount of water down there just might be enough to snuff out the fire inside him, and that is why he jumped. He woke up in a bed. Bright lights. Am I dead? He said. And a voice in the room said, "No, child, no." And the child said, "Where am I?" And the doctor said, You are in a hospital. Can you please open your eyes?" And the child tried. And the doctor's face slowly came into focus. He was bald on the top, but had a long gray beard. And the child said, "You are on fire too." And the doctor said, "No, child, and neither are you." And the child reached up to put his hands in the man's smoke, but the doctor misunderstood, thought the kid was reaching up for a hug. And so they did. A real hug that lasted well over 1 minute. And over the doctor's shoulder, the child could see a clock on the wall. It said 6:16. Nowhere near on the hour. And the child thought maybe that meant this feeling he was having now was a feeling he was allowed to have any time.
Beautiful.
Oh, Paul, you have a gift. You definitely have a gift.
Paul, that was really good, man. I really like that, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Just nicely done. I trust that we'll cross paths and be performing together. And when you come over here to New Hampshire, is that what it's going to be? Look me up. We'll grab lunch and hang out and talk.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I love the way you see the world, and thank you. Thanks to Erica too. Let's hear it one more time for Paul Strickland, everybody.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Erica. Good job.
All right, let me play a tune and we'll call this a day. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for support. I'm just gonna keep doing these things until there's just me and the Richardsons here and Neil or whatever, But I enjoy it. I like sharing my friends with everybody, and I don't see why, because I'm out being a road dog, that I have to stop doing it. Most of you people live in places I'll never get to, so I'm gonna play this song just to say goodbye. It's called "That's What Makes You Beautiful." It's a song for everybody who, like the kid in that story, who was raised by people that weren't well enough to raise him, right? But figured out how to be kind when he didn't know kindness, and figured out how to be generous and didn't see a lot of generosity. When you do that, I always felt like it was an unappreciated miracle, because you had to find it on your own. And this is always felt like it needed a song or a poem or something. So I took a long time to write this. It's a little wordy, but it's basically a tribute to everybody, to whatever degree. If you became something more than what the people who raised you were able to show you. And thanks for another lovely night. We'll see you at the Crossroads. I'm out there now. I'm out performing. I'm doing private shows now. I just picked up 2 of them. I'm going to be playing in people's backyards and doing all kinds of stuff. Also, if your dad is a fan of mine, I'll make a video for him. That's a new thing that I'm doing, and man, people are loving that. I'll sing his favorite song, tell his favorite story, whatever, and you look like the best kid in the family. Just saying, All right, so thanks everybody. You were taught by your world that empathy and kindness were the kind of things that made a person weak. They said push and grab and fight every minute of your life, and trample those between you and what you believe you need. But from the moment you were born, in your heart there was a song you could hear through all the years of of fear and insecurity. Singing cruelty is always weak, and love and empathy are strong enough to break the chains of selfishness and greed. Gentle is the strongest thing to be. You know it is not your fault that heroin and alcohol made them both too ill to give their children what they really need. But it sure would have been nice to be encouraged once or twice, to feel safe at night, or to have a life with just a little normalcy. But from the moment you were born, in your heart there was a song you could hear through all the years of fear and insecurity. When you feel hatred in your heart, you just remember who you are, and that underneath the weight of hate, your heart cannot be free. Forgiving is the strongest thing to be. It's not the color of your eyes, not your hypnotizing smile. It's not any of the many things that everyone can see. It's the way you always knew what they told you wasn't true. It's how you made yourself the person that they taught you not to be. That's what makes you beautiful to me. A young man's eyes see beauty in what is on the surface, not within. He will walk past what is beautiful to be near the thing that shines. But these old man's eyes find beauty in the story, in the journey. They have seen too much to be fooled by what attracts a young man's eyes. From the moment you were born, in your heart there was a song you could hear through all the years of fear and insecurity. There was nothing that this world could do to crush the love inside of you. Under neglect, abuse, and selfishness, you were caring, kind, and generous. It is the lonely road that brought you here. It's how all alone you persevered. It's the defiance and tenacity of your heart song of humanity. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful to me.
Beautiful, Don. Thanks so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Don. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're the best. I appreciate you all. I can't wait to see you in person. In the shows, in the old days, I would have a line of people coming up to have CD signed. I'm going to be having a hug line now. I'm just going to be hugging people till they can't stand it no more.
Probably never happened, Don. The lines will be longer.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So be well, be good to each other. I'm here next Thursday, and with Janet Feld is gonna pop by. I'm not sure who else, but Paul and Peter and Walter. Anytime that you got a song you want to sing or a story you want to try out, just come by. I can't put you in the round probably, but I can pull you in like I did with Peter, or let people know what you're doing. It's just a clearinghouse, to try stuff out and to let people know what you're all up to and to share with each other. So we don't just shut the button off here, because what happens, those of you that are new, is that we learned early that this illusion of us all being together is traumatically taken away from us. You know, it's like a trauma. It's like we're all together and we're chatting, and then the big white screen of aloneness pops up, right? So we don't do that. We just say goodbye sort of one at a time, as you want, or you can chat, talk whatever you want, but we sort of have the gradual, what do you call it? It's attrition. We call it attrition. Good night,
Well,
Bye.
thanks everybody. This was another awesome Thursday. So Sherry from Ohio is heading out. Thank you again. I hope to see you soon.
All right, Sherry.
Bye.
I'll see you in the Midwest, Sherry. Thank
Hi,
you.
Sherry. Take care.
Thanks.
Say
you
bye,
guys too.
Facebook and YouTube, everyone.
Bye,
Bye,
Facebook.
Facebook. Bye, YouTube.
Facebook. What is wrong with you? Why were you watching cat videos while I was performing? I hate you.